is Dr. Pamela Foster. She's going to be, the topic is Black Genealogy Book, celebrating the genre of America's 250th anniversary. She's going to share the breadth and nuances of the Black genealogy book genre from the 19th century development to the current post-Roots explosion. She's a co-founder of an ODS chapter, I think probably in Georgia. She's been chapter president, national board member. And she's going to cover the content of Black genealogy books as explained by music, collecting Black genealogy books and massively celebrating Black genealogy books in 2026 and beyond. This celebration honors the Roots' 50th anniversary and boosts the descendants' well-being for generations to come. And now I just want to let her bring forward and start a presentation. So Dr. Foster, I'm going to ask you.
Thank you, Rosalind, for that introduction, and thank you all for being here to honor Black genealogy books. To get started, let's get in the spirit of the OGS National Conference in October. You see here, they're asking us in advance to think of a recipe, a song, etc. Let's specifically think of a song that connects you to your ancestral home, something warm and fuzzy. When I think of home songs, I realize that so many of them well explain what's happening in our Black genealogy books. I think of Stephanie Mills singing Home. I think of John Denver singing Take Me Home, Country Roads, so many others. Would anyone else like to share a warm and fuzzy home song that really makes you think of your family? We don't have to come up with titles now, but just keep that in mind. Keep that warm, fuzzy home feeling in mind as we think about Black family heritage books. When I got started looking into these books, actually when I got started with OGS, that was back in 2004. I had just published my family's heritage book. You see it behind me in the picture there, With the Faith of Benjamin, that green book. And by becoming a part of OGS and watching it grow over the years, it just makes me so excited that this worldwide genealogy boom is happening, and OGS was at the forefront. I take it you know OGS was very instrumental in helping Alex Haley with the research and publicizing those books of his work. So again, we've just come all of this way, and genealogy is now booming worldwide, and OGS remains at the forefront. So to preview or to take a look at these books, we're going to look at the content of Black genealogy books, and again, songs will explain these books. We'll look at collecting Black family heritage books and also celebrating these books. So first, the content. Family heritage books are as old as carving and drawing and writing and printing, as old as documenting and sharing our experiences in any way. Some early print versions were no more than notations in Bibles using aids, such as we see on the left here, that help people document births, marriages, and deaths. Black genealogies as a life writing genre grew from slave narratives, and the tradition often is touted as beginning in 1837 with Victor Séjour's The Mulatto. This was first published in serial form, and this was the first fictionalized story of an otherwise African ancestor person that also depicted his white heritage. So the Black genealogy book genre has a core of traditional lineage books and a periphery of books. Oh, I'm just noticing that these visuals are messing up the screen. Does it have to be that way? If there's a way we can let all of the screen be visible, that would be great. But anyway, in the 1842 text by Lunsford Lane is a good example of, I mean, we're seeing it right there. See how we see this stuff instead of the screen?
Yeah, that's just on your screen.
Okay.
Their screen is on there.
All right.
I'll do this for you. Just, try to sort of like,
Oh, that's fine. But if it doesn't interfere with them, it's fine. If it's only me,
Yeah.
that's a problem, that's fine.
it's on the,
And
they
where do I
don't.
still need to know where where do I do to advance?
Use the arrow keys.
Okay.
So what's the?
Yeah, leave it like it was.
They
If
can
I'm
see.
the only one interrupted.
People in the room, sorry.
So, again, we see this 1842 text by Lunsford Lane, and that's a really good example of a slave narrative being expanded centuries later into multi-generational story. It was made into the genealogical biography called Becoming Lunsford Lane in 2025. The 1906 memoir, Shadows and Sunshine, is another part of the progression of Black genealogy books. And this solidifies the praise and uplift that is so prevalent in these books. Also, early on, we have such books as 1911's Pioneer Colored Christians and 1913's Bulltown, which chronicles several families at a time, launching a continuing trend of community genealogies. In 1916, with Rachel, we have another early example of a fictionalized Black genealogy. This one's a play, again, representing even more of the vastness of the Black genealogy genre. And then in 1930, with annotated history of the Jones family, we have what is widely understood to be the first core Black genealogy. Again, that was in 1930, so we'll be celebrating the centennial of the Black genealogy book in 2030. I lost that arrow again, sorry. Where's my helper? Mr. Chris? Where's where I can have my arrow right here to advance the...
Should be able to do one.
Everybody's doing great.
Maybe the arrow keys
Yes.
on the keyboard.
If I had known that the other people weren't seeing the
Sure.
faces.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just need to, should we just exit out and come back in?
My favorite IT joke, did you unplug it and then plug it back in?
That's not a joke.
I know, it's the best. Did you restart your computer? Did you do this? Did you?
Is it down in here? Okay, there it is. All right, that's fine. Thank you. And this isn't blocking anyone's view either, right? My question is, anybody seeing
Nope,
this?
nobody's seeing that. So people on this side.
Oh, why the people in the living room? Let's move
Because
it
they're
out of
just-
their range. Can we move it out of their range too? Can we move it up?
Right.
All right, that's good. Right. That's good enough.
Yeah, that's what he's trying.
Arrow back. There you go.
Okay, thank you so much.
Right.
And also use the arrow.
Thank you. Regardless of the format of the Black genealogy, whether it's poetry or not much more than a family tree, Black genealogies exhibit three core themes as they take descendant readers to ancestral home. Starting at the bottom of this image of how Black genealogies work and climbing our way up, we see that based on a 2023 study of Black genealogies, those that were published since the year 2000, the first of these themes is in the spiritual realm, and I call it the deep roots of finding heroes in ancestors. The second theme of Black genealogy books is the deep knowledge, and this is in the mental realm, of using that hero lens to understand one's ancestors' experiences and one's own experiences. And the third theme of Black genealogy books is embodied in the deep you, or the deep self, of arriving at ancestral home to savor positive ancestral self-identity. When one arrives at warm ancestral home to experience the deep self, two underlying concepts are at play. We see them in gold here in this tree foliage. They are the intergenerational values such as education and service, and genealogy tourism, which is traveling for ancestral purposes. The two underlying concepts for the deep knowledge theme are how U.S. and world history and one's own experiences are interpreted to maintain that ancestral heroism. And the three underlying concepts for the deep roots of heroizing ancestors are description of ancestors, which is mentions of ancestors' physiological, vocational, avocational, or sociographic details. Ancestors speak, which is mentions of authors sharing information from an ancestral voice, be that voice dead or alive. And purpose of genealogy book, which is author's stated purpose for writing the book. Together, these three themes and 7 concepts explain Black family heritage books. They explain the agapic agency theory of Black family heritage books. The findings detailing how wonderful Black family heritage books are for the authors and the family members in terms of bringing us to ancestral home are so profound that I joined with like-minded genealogy enthusiasts to build the HBCUHeritageHome.com, which is a think tank that deals with all things Black genealogies. The site archives and provides research on Black genealogies. It pursues open access to ancestral records, education records in particular, and it brings the range of community groups such as providers of nostalgic products and services to our families, educators and learners, and most importantly, extended family members. It brings us all together to read, discuss, and celebrate these books. And the site goes live this fall. A primary task of the HBCUHeritageHome.com is archiving the estimated 1,000 extant Black family heritage books, as well as supporting the vastly widening supply of these books. So next we'll talk about collecting. In keeping with Professors Jacqueline Goolsby and Meredith McGill, we are keeping in mind what is Black about Black bibliography. And specifically that means promoting Black genealogies is for the civic purpose of strengthening our African ancestred American families. We go into all nooks and crannies and public and private libraries and collections to find these books. You see the common catalog numbers and terminology used here. And we've collected most of them available in these repositories and word of mouth. The ones that are in our family libraries, on our coffee tables at home, are the last ones we'll be collecting. So by a quick scroll through some of the genealogies in the Black Genealogy Archive so far, you again can get a sense of the vastness and variety of these books. The archive is mostly for the core of the genre, and we've got some on the periphery for explanatory purposes. They're published by all manner of publishers, families, academic, commercial, etc. A good example of an academically published core book you see in the top left here is titled Freedom Road, an American family saga from Jamestown to World War. This book has a long timeline dating back to the 1400s, and it's published in 2019. While the stories of this particular book and many other Black genealogies date back to the 15th through the 18th centuries, most of the ancestral heroes in our books are from what I call the postbellum jubilee. That's the period from 1865 to 1915, bookended by the end of the Civil War and Booker T. Washington's death. Again, this is the period where most of the heroes in our books come from. And that postbellum jubilee, of course, it overlays the Reconstruction era of the 1870s and 80s and the Gilded Age, roughly 1870 to as late as World War I. A good example of a family-authored small press book you see in the top left corner here is Live, Labor, Love, The History of a Northern Family, 1700 to 1900. This book is 96 pages long and it is published in 2007. A good example of a commercially published book you can see in the top left corner here is The Washingtons of Wessington Plantation, Stories of My Family's Journey to Freedom. So many of the books are plantation oriented, and this is a good example of that, and also of multiple stories at once, a community genealogy as well as a plantation genealogy, and this one was published in 2010. There are books that significantly incorporate African and Caribbean countries one that is close to its Caribbean roots, you can see in the top left corner here, is Carolina footprints along the African-American Sasporas Schweitzer family trail, published in 2022. There are some Black genealogies written by outsiders and about famous families. A good example of both of those you see in the top left corner here is about the Obamas, published in 2011. There are Black genealogies that focus on the mixes of races in families. There are some that focus specifically on mixing with European ancestry, some with Native American ancestry, and a good example of a family story that includes Native ancestry you see in the top left corner here is Osage and Settler, reconstructing shared history through an Oklahoma family archive. This was published in 2015. And we have big, pretty coffee table books, as well as books for young people. And we see a good example of both of those in the top left corner here with Grandma Lois Remembers. We have multiple versions and formats of the same book. You can see in the top left two spots here, The Grace of Silence is in multiple versions. And we have books with content that some people find disturbing. The objections could be triggered by gruesome violence, especially racial violence, or any number of unsettling depictions. Chances of objectionable content could be heightened when an outsider does the family history. An American family, the Shakurs, and the nation they created, that we see in the top left here, is one of those books done by an outsider that is full of mayhem. You have to be ready to stomach, just making the point that they're not all warm and fuzzy family stories. Some include really, really, really ugly stuff. The disturbing material shows up sometimes in the form of descendants learning of kindnesses that their Black ancestors performed for white people. This triggers some people. The disturbing information can be from sometimes when white authors find their Black slaveholding ancestors, the Black descendants of their white slaveholding ancestors and cousins from them. There's just an infinite variety of disturbing material that can be included. Again, we talked about unexpected racial ancestry or parentage, defamatory inaccuracies, secrets and personally intimate stories, and generic and non-specific information passed off as germane to a particular family. All of those are the kinds of things that sometimes happen. And this idea of passing off general information as if it's specific to your family happens with these books that are named for a family. So speaking of books named for a family or focusing on a last name, here in the top left we see The Crenshaws of Kentucky. This book, published by Heritage Publishers in 2019, is an example of the important early and still prevalent strain among Black genealogies of focusing on one last name. One last name.
Okay, I got it.
Genealogy books that focus on one last name are the forte of Frances Holloway Wynn, who is best known for the book The Holloways of the South. I throw in a shout out here to Frances Holloway Wynn, because she set us all an example when she bequeathed OGS more than $83,000 in 2010 for the publication of educational and genealogical materials. We all can follow her example. While at last report the gift hadn't been used for its intended purpose, it still is a wonderful model for us all to follow. Also in the Black Genealogy book are all states and all national regions, including the DMV. In the top left here, we see These Low Grounds, a novel of 4 generations, which is a 1937 fictionalized story of an African-American family on Maryland's eastern shore. Summarizing the collection of Black genealogy books, they date back in core form to 1930. They're published by families and independent presses, as well as commercial and academic presses. And the formats and subgenres of these books are varied, including young adult, narrative, memoirs, autobiographies, biographies, etc. And it does happen that these books sometimes contain information that the people depicted in the stories or their descendants find objectionable, even actionable in court. So far, the HBCUHeritageHome.com has archived 650 families' books of the estimated 1,000 out there. As important as it is to collect Black genealogies for analysis and exhibition, it's even more important for the families to engage with these books and celebrate them. So we'll end with a bit of celebrating Black genealogies. The HBCUHeritageHome.com is designed to encourage families to explore our books together, to celebrate them in every manner, including group readings, virtual reality settings with the smells and sounds and feelings of ancestral home. All of that is creating these ancestral home environments. And again, since we're in Delaware, and Delaware is the first state, and we're celebrating the nation, we have help from Sil. He's not here today, huh? I love this picture. He can help us celebrate the Delaware-related books. So again, we'll celebrate them all year, next year for America's 250th, but just quickly, we'll look at 11 of them here. The legendary Delaware Truants, 1760 to 1980, by Patty Maria McGee, is one of the newer Delaware-connected Black genealogies. Delaware writer, native Bertice Berry leads her family in heritage discussion with The Ties That Bind, a memoir of race, memory, and redemption. This was published in 2009. In editing the genealogical biography of her father, The Making of a Black Bishop, Delawarean Cynthia Primo Mitchell also contributes to the Blue Hen States Black Genealogies. Published in 1998, this book is a really good example of the identity-shaping roles that education plays in our lives and in these books. I say that because you can't know the value of the Primos without doing the same for such family-connected educational institutions in the book as Fort Valley Normal and Industrial Institute, Lincoln University, St. Augustine's College, and Virginia, Seabury Western, and General Theological Seminaries. Voice of Dissent, subtitle Theophilus Gould Stewart, 1843 to 1924 in Black America, may be the best known Black family heritage book with significant Delaware ties. It's published in 1991. One of the family members is here today, and I can't recommend enough how valuable it is to have a book like this representing your family, having your name in it, etc. The book Good Remembrance, also published in 1991, began as a Laurel, Delaware natives college project in 1986 at Temple University. The 105-page history of the Polk family of Allen, Maryland, a genealogical history of the family of Morris and Rebecca Black Polk, was published in 1976 by authors Velmar Polk Nutter and Conrad Wilfred Williams, and this is one of the many Black genealogies clustered around the same time as Haley's Roots, which of course is a key spike period in the publication of Black genealogies. In Ghoultown, a very remarkable settlement of ancient date, the authors tell a story of what was referred to in print as never more than a settlement of mulattoes, principally bearing the names of Gould and Pierce. Again, this book that focuses on last names in a community was published in 1913. A History of African Americans of Delaware and Maryland's Eastern Shore, edited by Carol Marks, is on the periphery of Black genealogies. It gets a mention in part because among its collection of 13 essays is indeed one that explores heads of households, and the author of said essay is joining us today, and what you see with those kinds of depictions are that these are the typical people who were the subjects of Black family heritage books when we started. And the point is now every family knows we've got ancestral heroes. Also on the periphery of Black genealogies is the 1999 book titled Delaware. It's in the Black America series by Jean D. Nutter. And by highlighting African American life in Delaware in the late 1800s to the 1960s, this book also shows the contours, the general contours of lives that are depicted in Black genealogies. This is a focus on how people develop their institutions and activities, and of course there's a focus on family. Published just this year, The Riggin Family of Delmar, Volume 2 by George Riggin, focuses on the last name, and it includes Black lines in the family with that name. Reminiscences, which is edited by Delawarean Thelma Ellen Young Carroll and published in 1995, combines a family tree, photos, documents, and a genealogy tourism travelogue into a 4-part book of 102 pages. The author highlights the importance of family members beyond herself benefiting from the books. Her words sum up the 3 core themes of all Black genealogy books. She says, "My first priority in writing this book is to recognize the struggle and achievements of our ancestors." That's ancestral heroizing. Second, I want to bring to light items with which some family members may not be familiar, and share these materials with them. That's reading the record through the hero lens. Third, this process is my way of dealing with my own mortality. That is arriving at positive ancestral self-identity. So, a quick celebration of Delaware's Black genealogies illustrates how beneficial it can be and how we are making it less and less likely that there are unidentified pictures in repositories of our ancestors. This is a look at some unidentified photographs of the Delaware Historical Society. And the point is, these books identify and bring to life our ancestral pictures and stories, and then again, there will be fewer unidentified on repository walls. Again, just a quick summary of how Black genealogies work. And after we do this, we can savor some of your choice of songs and answer your questions. So from the bottom up, Deep Roots is first making heroes of our ancestors. Deep Knowledge is next reading the ancestral record through the hero lens. And third, the Deep You is ultimately arriving at positive ancestral self-identity. A lot of times, people want to know particularly more about the Deep Roots theme. So I'm going to play for you a song. Again, songs explain every aspect of Black genealogies, every theme, the theory, the concepts, etc. So this is a song that explains the Deep Roots theme of Black genealogies. It's 3 minutes, a typical song length, so I invite you to close your eyes, meld for 3 minutes, listen and enjoy, and really understand what this song is saying in terms of what I'm saying about that first pillar of Black genealogies, making heroes of our ancestors. This is Randy Travis singing He Walked on Water.
4 stars and white shirts, running like a neck. Shade and heart, teeth are gone.
No sound quality coming into the meeting.
I thought
Anybody hear
we
me?
walked on water. Sail on the cowboy. When he was young, in his hand of love, and he was good with the gun. And my mama's daddy was his oldest son, and I thought that he walked on water. Every story you've told,
I'm gonna sing it for you myself in a minute. Only heaven knows. Sing to me like an old halo, and though his wings they were never seen, I thought that he walked on water.
he tied a cord.
To the end of my mouth,
Said some years
where's that thing where it says
you were at a trunk, and I drive in circles while you laugh and laugh. Then I flopped down.
it's not hearable on mine?
He was 9 years old.
So yeah, we'll just have to, let's just show them the video and we'll enjoy just one more minute of it.
I'll share it in the chat.
Don't I cry the day he died? 'Cause I thought he was
Yeah, I'm putting in the chat.
on water. Stories told, only heaven
You doing?
knows.
So what are you doing? You're gonna copy this link
I'm just gonna put it in the chat.
Like an old halo, though his wings they were never seen. I thought that he was on the water.
Okay, let's just leave this. We're done now.
I thought
That he was on water. So you get the point that if you think your ancestor walked on water, you've got the concept of ancestral heroism.
And sorry for everybody online, it is hot in here, and we are really trying to cool this area down. So I am so sorry for all of the issues. I'm doing the best that I can.
Oh,
Yes, sir. Oops. Oh well. We'll just stay there on Q&A. But I just wanted to share with you in closing that having explored the content, collection, and celebration of Black genealogies, we can look forward to some interesting developments in the genre. For one, we can look forward to an academic anthology because the Academy professors are getting so into talking about these books. We can look forward to more and more books by white members of the family who have African ancestor forebears. We can look forward to more books by families of newer African and Caribbean descent. I thought we might have a Cameroonian American here today. He mentioned his family's interest in publishing a book. And we will see these foundational set of books serve as the sort of go-to books for the next generations. We'll see new lines of the families publishing these books, and then they'll refer back to the originals for their legitimacy, if you will. So I thank you all for listening to me talk about Black genealogy books, and I now open it up to your questions, including wanting to know more about any of the concepts or themes of these books by listening to a song that helps explain it. So,
Okay.
do I see a hand for questions?
Thanks, Pamela.
Oh, don't
that was-
finish. Don't finish before I sit down.
No, wait a minute. No, stay right there. That was a very interesting analysis of Black genealogy books. We have one question that was put in the chat. It said, is there going to be a list of books that were mentioned in
The
there?
whole site, the hbcuheritagehome.com, is all the books. It's a list of the books, it's the visuals of the books, it's audios of the books, it's communities joining around each book. So yes, this fall it goes live, and again, we think there's about 1,000. We've got 650 or so now. So yeah, it goes live with about 1,000 books this fall.
Okay, so it's not available right now.
It goes live
Right.
this fall.
Okay, so this fall.
We have some, however many I got there, I brought a nice collection of show and tell genealogies. Again, the main thing is to understand that the variety is so great. Families choose big, pretty, beautiful books, 600 pages, 500 pages. Families do it in 75 pages. They do little books, small books. So we've got a good variety over there, and you can get a sense of those and see how others do it that way.
If we know of someone who has published a book that may not be on the list, how do we connect?
Just let me know. We will get it on there, and of course, once the site is live, then people will go there. And right, we expect not to find every single one. The same information was on that first mail.
Okay, so who would you contact to send to notify somebody?
You can notify me right now until the site goes live. You can go on the site, but
So you
my
want me-
email address is on there. Did I? Did everybody
Did
get
they put it in the chat?
Yes, you can do that. Did everybody get? Anybody want a little handout? So yeah, we could put countrypep@gmail.com if you want. That's Pamela E. Foster's email. If you want to bring a book to my attention before we go live. And again, we're so excited about the core. So there are some books, again, like Roots or like, the Joneses or whatever. If it's a standard traditional genealogy, we want them. We're interested in, but there's just so many, and we are not trying to collect all the novels about intergenerational families. You see what I mean? Yeah. So like a real family. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
First off, Dr. Foster, I'd like to thank you for making my families so prominent within your presentation.
Did y'all? I mentioned the one book. Did you see the Pope book too?
Also, Dr. Jean Daughter is a poet. Her uncle and my aunt, her uncle is Conjure Wilford Williams. The Goldtown book, I live by it every day. My grandmother did the artwork in the front of the book.
And that's something Urban is mentioning, sort of what it's like to live in a household with a book about your family in it. And that's really something that I want to have us explore more in our discussions. Again, the joy that comes from that. I want other people to understand that and to feel it. And then know what it's like for the edges of the family. I bet there are people in the extended family who aren't feeling all that warm and fuzzy, we're hopes, we're gloom. Am I right?
Let me say this way, the Goldtown book, my grandmother did the artwork and the book was published in 1913. My mother and her siblings, 6 of them, none of them read the book. It was sitting in the house forever.
Wow.
And my mother had ideas as to how the family began. One of the things I tell people when I talk about why I do genealogy, is my mother got it all wrong. And I had to sit down and read the book, and then I asked my mom, did you guys ever read it? No. My aunt, I actually had, my grandmother gave me my aunt's copy. And my aunt cried because she couldn't find her copy. She was gonna give it to me anyway.
Right.
And I told her, don't worry about it. I didn't want to let her know that her mother stuck behind her and got her book and gave it to me.
And that's a good point too about these books. Again, these are artifacts. These are gifts. These are things to pass down from family members. Not just to be on the library, on your home library shelf or on your coffee table or tea table so you can sit around and understand them as like artifacts of history of a people, pass them down and feel the joy and having them signed by forebears, all that. It's fabulous. There's no getting around that feeling. Other questions?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
For someone who might be interested in writing their family history, where would you direct them to learn or to get started?
So again, the genealogy industry is huge worldwide, and there's 9 billion and 12 players. A key among them, OGS. And so if you're still in the let me do some research and figure out how to do it stage, get with OGS.
But for writing, actually writing.
Once you get it all together, then you simply decide. You look at examples like that, you look at examples like on the archive, and you get together. Maybe we might even think about that if we have enough people. Delaware 250 has a grant for celebrating the 50th anniversary. They might be interested in helping a couple of families. I know the Young family might be close to it as well. They might, if we can find 1 or 2 families that's really ready to go there, maybe we can go through that book process. But the main thing is that this is the place for building communities around the book. Now, I really like that idea of when you're in the last stages of it, and you're just talking amongst each other, you know, what are the final things we want to put, how much do we want to emphasize this or that. We might, it might be beneficial to your family and others to watch those conversations, to see what that last stage is like before there's a book, and then publishing the book. We talked about providers of nostalgic products and services to Black families being part of the communities around these books. Think, for example, of, I'll use, if y'all probably seen in the news recently, Cracker Barrel changing. Okay, like it or not, Cracker Barrel has an intimate place in many Black families. So if you were one of those families who went there every Sunday after church, and you're writing a little anecdote about we used to go to Cracker Barrel every Sunday after church and da-da-da, that Cracker Barrel ad on that page or on this site celebrating our family, your family, is part of what this is about. For instance, I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where Heinz is headquartered. So a lot of people work at Heinz, of course we use it. So, you know, when there's a story about had to have ketchup on his scrambled eggs, Heinz wants to be right there celebrating the family in that. So there's a lot of things like that. So we're working. Other questions, inside or out? Yes, sir.
There's one. Okay, Nancy, can you answer your question?
Yes, hi, sorry, my neighbor is, mowing his lawn.
Oh,
They're looking for, research on African Americans living in Delaware, that they can visit, my website, findingyourdelawareroots.com.
Great. Findingyourdelawareroots.com.
Can you put it in the chat?
yeah, put it in the chat.
Findingyourdelawareroots.com. So yeah, this is really about, you know, the work people put into doing the research is so long and arduous, and this is that end point. After you've done all that and have a book, this is about celebrating the book. So if you're still
Right.
looking for documents to learn
Yeah,
about,
and there's a little more to it
this
than
isn't
that.
that.
I'm including documents, such as manumissions, deeds, wills,
yes.
apprentice indentures, passes, anything I can find in the Delaware, in the record books in Delaware.
Thank
So
you.
that if people are looking for their ancestors, they might find a clue within these records. And I also have
Let me hold that thought for one moment. Let me expand on that before you continue. I'll tell you a little bit more about songs. Not only is there, let's see, I couldn't get this thing to go backward. Not only is there a song to better explain each of these 3 themes and each of the 7 concepts, as well as home, as well as the agapic agency theory, they're also, in the books themselves, families talk about the songs that have a role in their families. They talk about songs that, grandmother sang, or songs from church, or songs they sang at home, plays, poems. So all of that kind of creative work that is mentioned in the books, that's another presentation I do, because that's a lot of fun. Just sharing the songs of home. And again, it's just a reminder that they're part of our lives. You can't know us without knowing a song that resonates with us.
I would love to see that presentation. I am also a songwriter.
Awesome.
So one of the things I have been doing when I'm finding amazing ammunition and stories that probably well over we're talking about the early 80s. I've been writing songs that illustrate, the people in these records that I've written.
So how do you get the songs to the peoples? Again, I have so much fun with the songs and encourage families to do just that. I did 3, so again, there's these 3 themes: the deep roots, the deep knowledge, and the deep you. And I came up with family songs for each of those themes, and I encourage families to do that. So it seems like some of these songs you're writing could be beneficial to the specific family. How do you get it to them?
Well, that's the thing. Trying to connect to all the families of the people I found. I'm working on doing that, trying to bring their genealogy forward to the present day, so I can say, I can contact somebody and say, I think, I found your such and such ancestor. I have actually connected with one person, and that's been incredibly meaningful. I have a reverbination site, and I have things on Spotify. It might be as simple as on Spotify creating a playlist and having members maybe of the HBCU Heritage Home, asking people to suggest songs and maybe adding that to the playlist.
Yeah, we'll link to something. We'll figure something out. But yes, absolutely. Songs related to families is a concept that we don't want to give short shrift to. Think about not just the book that represents your family and all of the other ways people do it in videos, etc. But songs are core aspects. Was that it?
Pretty much.
Oh,
Other than I have a musician friend who is part of the Black Opry, and I've been trying to get her name is Shug out, and she lives in Philadelphia. And the other members of the Black Opry to look at these documents and see if something sparks a song for them.
How awesome! So yeah, they put my email in there. Connect, and we'll look into it. We'll figure out a way. It would be great if she were in the business, or you were in the business of providing your service. One song I didn't play for you, I almost thought of it, the one that represents Ancestors Speak. There's a song called Voices by Chris Young, and he did I guess like a PR stunt or something. He did a thing where he actually wrote songs for families based on that. So I could see you songwriters providing that service. Again, use the email in there, connect, we'll see what we can do. And if you're, maybe even for the thought, maybe if we do 1 or 2 Delaware ones or something, that might be good to do. So we'll see. We'll look into that.
First of all, outstanding. Really, really appreciate the clarity. Made me think about a lot of things I hadn't thought about in my own journey of genealogy and inspiration. So it's just really, really cool. The gentleman over here's comments, and one of the slides made me, and particularly slides that have all of the book covers, made me think of something I hadn't thought about before. In your exploration, you mentioned, I couldn't quite see the book, it was block 5 on this big screen, about the number of books that were in circulation per se. How much have you found, Dr., in your research, that what percentage of books are self-published? So I'm curious when you talked about your grandmother doing the artwork, and the kids hadn't read it. And my grandmother also wrote books. On my father's side, she wrote children's books, she wrote a bunch of books, and so. But also my other family members were reading books, and they were self-published. So they did it, they went to the trouble, they did the artwork, they found it, they got it done. Here's my book. Didn't necessarily have to go to the publisher. No one could necessarily search for it. If they did, it's out of print. So sorry.
So we have a great question from the.
What percentage is self-published? What percentage of
A great question from the floor here about the makeup of the world of Black genealogy books in terms of publishers. The
And
core,
how we keep
most
the
of them are small, privately published by the family. Because genealogy, again, with roots and other things going on, because it's such a popular topic in the society in general and in the academy, that's why you have so many now being published by commercial and academic presses. The core still is the small private press. So we estimate, we won't know for sure until we get them all, but we estimate there's about 1,000 of them out there. And we've found about 650 of them. You find a higher proportion of the academic and commercial ones because they're out there, the publishers are pushing them. That's why I was saying that last bit, those ones that are the privately published in our houses, that's why we need word of mouth to find the ones that are in our own living rooms. Did I answer your question, son?
You did. It touches right to the core of exactly what I was exploring, which is in America, we are fundamentally, because of the nature of our maturation and how we arrive, a word of mouth culture. And when you look at full disclosure, and Lydia thinks in my background, we all have very different backgrounds, and we got this far, God bless our ancestors, this far, this we did it from. Somewhere in the spatial, the space of the cosmos, our ancestors are rejoicing right now. We're all in this room having this conversation, so I just want to bring that to the forefront. There's a strong blessing of thanks that we are sitting here. They're shaking hands, they're shaking goosebumps.
Wow. And so the questioner, if you guys can't hear online, the questioner who wanted to know about the what portion of the books are published by families and what portion are published by academic, commercial presses, etc. He also wanted to understand the how do I say it?
However you want to say it, it's going to be okay. That's the beauty of being in this room. There's no wrong way, right? We're just, we're probably just trying to make it happen. It's legacy. It's always beautiful.
Basically, everybody's here right now
Yeah.
with us. All of our ancestors are here with us right now.
This concept, ancestors speak, includes a lot of that. Oftentimes in these books, the writer will say, great Uncle Joe told me to do this, told me to go there. It's smiling down on you. So I'm doing a presentation for the American Anthropological Association in November in New Orleans. So that's a lot of academics who are talking about these kinds of works in their classes now. And we've got more and more classes, again, more academics interested in it, so they, I won't say partner, but the site is a service for them. They could assign course projects, and people can go into the archive and access, and again, there's lots of discussion. It's mostly layman's discussion, because it's about us and our books. But, again, so many of them also are written or published by academic press and published by people. So yeah, Dr. Carey and I had this discussion. So yeah, turns out a lot of them are published by people with PhDs. Again, though, that's just this latest era. That's just the 21st century ones that I've really looked into. And that's a small portion. But yeah, I have to say I fall right into it. So that's what I was saying. In terms of this Ancestor Speak, this New Orleans thing is focused on ghosts and stuff like that. So it fits right in to pull out the Ancestor Speak portion. And yeah, there's a portion in our book as well. It freaks me out. I'm actually speaking in the voice of my ancestor. Who does that? He didn't give me permission to say that. To say, I am delighted that you guys are reuniting and have done the book to celebrate us.
But he did though.
But right,
He
so
did
that's
by
what I'm
meeting
saying.
somebody he
There's a
cared
lot
about
of that.
and producing a litany of strong constitutional, educational, fundamental, home training, things that were passed down. They were part of the essence of what we absolutely did. That's not by virtue of his legacy.
Final questions would come? Yes, ma'am.
I have one final thing. Thank you so much, everyone that's in this room right now. My name is Danielle Sawyer. I'm a local attorney in Delaware. I love this family. I love this woman that is standing right here right now. I love every single one of you in this room. I am so sorry that it is hotter than you know what. There are children here, so I'm going to behave myself, and you know, Pamela, that I don't want to. Unfortunately, I am a very, very, very victimized human of the justice system, of everything that's happened recently. And it is by God's grace that I am here with you people right now. And I just wanted to say thank you to everything that you do, but there's still so much work that has to be done. There's so much work that has to be done, because what has happened in our state recently, what has happened in the entire country worldwide recently, has opened my eyes to the fact that there actually is no justice. There is no equity, there is no anything, except the people that build it. Your story is incredible. And I do estates and trusts. That was I did not want to be a prosecutor. I did not want to do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't.
Right, that's why I mentioned that shout out to Holloway Wynn. Those putting our money into our family and our family stories, that's...
So if you want to write your book, do it. If you want to publish it, do it. If you want to put it online, do it. Because these young children one day are going to read it, they're going to see it, they're going to understand it, or maybe they won't. Because right now, my mother and I are not in a good place, but I love her very much, and she's still alive. And there's a chance that I can fix it.
Just picking up one final point on the whole, dysfunction and anger and violence and stuff. Again, that's part of families, that's part of our history. And what you see in these books is that people balance that. Back to music, I hope you can relate to this, Nancy. That's why I describe the content of Black Family Heritage books as twang. We are twanging our family stories, because twang is a particular technique whereby you constrict the whatever you are, you retain so much air. You're retaining that ancestral honor, that ancestral beauty. And so out of that little clear spot, it's just a loud like the way I was saying, I thought that he walked on water. That's twang. And the point is, there's varying degrees of the ugly. I talked about that in these books. So there's no right or wrong. It runs the gamut. You make your choice. You decide. Particularly the academics tend to choose a lot of the uglier. But that just means their family ends up looking that much better because it's all about the distance between the ugly and the awesome. So if you put a bunch of ugly, you're just going to put that much more awesomeness about your family. Because no book, well, not done by an insider, no book is, the point is the book is to say, my family sucks. All of these books are to say, we rock, and here's how, and here's why. Yes, sir.
My name is Colonel Carey, and I'm with the organization called the
Can you speak up a little
Very
bit?
good.
He can't. I'll repeat. Thank you. So, Dr. Carey is saying that oral history is part of genealogy research, and it very much is. It's not the book that this is, it's one of those documents. Someone was saying, there's a bunch of documents. Oh, that was you, Nancy, saying that you helped make documents available. Oral histories are indeed one of the things that's in that deep knowledge statute. That is one of the records that is read through the ancestral hero lens. So yes, having those oral histories, documenting them, what else?
Thank you. What I wanted to know is, I think you can all some questionnaire outlines that you use as a tool in conducting.
Absolutely. So the question was, are there outlines and guidelines and tools that can be used to help people gather oral histories? And the answer is absolutely yes. I repeat, the genealogy industry is booming worldwide. Every product, every service, everything you can think of, including a worksheet for how you can give that thing you had for us a couple of months ago. Remember, you gave us a sheet to answer questions about people. Or is it nobody was here?
That was for the course. We offered a two-part course.
But my point is, yes, there's documents for everything. What there hadn't been yet until this is a focus just on the books, but every aspect of the genealogy international industry is covered. So yes, I will personally give you one and help you do some. We did some, I don't know, actually this, some years ago when I was on the OBS board, we had a special project called Slave Grandchildren Remember. And we did oral histories of, I think we got 3 or 4 people who actually knew their grandparents who had lived in enslavement. And so these people were talking about their interactions, so when Joe Schmo, who doesn't have an intimate connection, thinks about an enslaved person, they think of somebody with scars on their backs and, a child product of rape, etc. They think of all the horrible stories they hear. And these are people who knew these enslaved people firsthand, and so they thought of, this enslaved person as a beautiful woman who always says thank you and will you please and always brings me candy. So there's a very different idea and image, identity you get about people when you interact with them. So yeah, that was a good oral history. So yeah, we could share some of that, some of the kinds of questions that came up there. The thing that was really good about that project that we have both genealogists and historians. So we had this one presentation where I was paired with a historian who basically wanted to say, you know, he got, the name of the church wasn't really that, it was the other. Okay, it wasn't really on this corner, it was a block up. So that we can have this conversation that says, because that's the point about family stories. There are some that, yeah, you want to get the name right. You'd rather, but if you didn't, it's not that you miss. The story is about my grandfather built this church. My grandfather knew the importance of this and the importance of people coming together. So yeah, I would add that one last thing for some people who might have a lot of information gathered and are just on the precipice of doing a book. They might feel a little uneasy, you know, right, am I good enough? Can I write it? Will I make mistakes? So effing what? But again, we're gonna help. You don't wanna make mistakes, but you don't wanna not do it because you're scared of that. Nobody else was scared. I know English back and forth, and I guarantee you there are mistakes in my book. And was I going to let that stop me? So yeah, that's it. Other questions, comments? I think we closed it out already, but we'll close it out
Thank you
again.
for a very rich talk, but I also would like to say I could listen to you sing all day.
Oh, wow.
Thank you for singing, thank you for
Bless you.
presenting.
You're so welcome. And yes, I do indeed have songs for each of those three themes for my family. So that's the kind of thing that which happens a lot when you're a church family.
Yeah.
And we are that. Oh, yes, sir.
Other than Bruce, are there any other movies or documentaries like this?
Oh, there are a ton. I would recommend that, well, this isn't just us. That's hard to. So some people would say that there are just way too much, that they are like sick of slave stories. Every story is somebody got whipped and raped and then they had a next generation and the next generation. So I don't know those movie titles offhand, but I do know there's a genre. I do know there's a conversation of complaints out there that people say they're sick of those. One thing that I would recommend, and this is about an era rather than a family, I would recommend Gods and Generals. And here's why. So again, everybody, it's about heroes, right? You got your war heroes, your family heroes, your church heroes, education heroes, and service in the community. War heroes. If you don't find somebody who did whatever during the Revolutionary Wars, you just skip over that. If you know somebody who did something during the Civil War, you include it. I mean, the point is you wrap your family stories around the nation's story. So whenever there's a big things going on, you talk about your people's roles in those. So yes, we've got our Revolutionary War heroes. We've got our Civil War heroes. We've got the people who served in the World Wars. They are heroized in these books. So yeah, don't talk about, oh, so-and-so went to basic training here, and this is an anecdote about a racist incident that happened. And then they'll end it by saying, so-and-so earned this medal, that medal, and the other. So the point is, however much ugly, the beauty shines brighter in the family. Did I answer you, or is there more? So yeah, do we know, or are there others? What's a really, Daughters of the Dust is a good one. But he's asking about good intergenerational Black movies.
Sure.
But again, what I would recommend, how do I put this? So much of, from the point of media, something out there is to tell a common story. And I'm thinking we got enough of that. I would just recommend get down to the nitty-gritty of your story, because other people have these generic stories that we've already been trying to insert ourselves in, and better use of your time might be honing in on your own family.
It's a tough call, right? Because the question is so apropos. It's what drives us to the books oftentimes, particularly younger generations, because they don't read as much as the nature of technology. But it leads us right back into one of the things that I was trying to frame for my own self earlier in my question, and hopefully everybody can hear my line, was because we all have big expansive lives and we do a lot of stuff. I've done a lot of things. One of the things I am currently a member of Screen Actors Guild. So movies, television, Broadway, all kind of things. The only reason I mention it, it's not relevant to anything, except that we're all aware, to the point that you made, one of the high criticisms that is often linked to Hollywood and stream production, whole kind of video. Why can't you show our stuff? What's going on? And the response is often,
Show your stuff.
y'all ain't got no stuff. Like, we can't find your stuff. All y'all stuff is just people doing lips and, we don't, how we gonna show them, how is it a common story to show the larger community that they agreed upon you? You know, the construct would be like, if you was in Germany and every other weekend we opened a movie about the Holocaust and how terrible the German people were, when most of the country is German, we probably wouldn't make a lot of money. But the key I was asking about whether or not they were self-published or whether or not they were out there is, and this is the thing that you pointed out, which I never thought about, is there are amalgams of how the stories are told. Some of them are heroizing them, some of them are, different perspectives, and some of them are single families. You turn on TV every other day and watch a story about a complete British family's lineage that you don't know across. That's here in America. Like, there are so many beautifully tapestry stories that don't make it to our calling. I lived in New York for 20 years. In New York, as a black actor, you step out of the role that is pinched you down, that does not look like what you represent, but you have to take because you got bills to pay. You go and find other black actors who do this small box black theater. Where you try to tell our stories, you try to do it, it's usually just full of a room of us supporting one another to try to be like, let's get our souls back and do so. So I only say that to say, I find great depth in thinking that anyone is working on a collection of their own stories because it fights against what Black Panther is one of the largest, and it's not even about real families, it's a real country that exists, and it was one of the largest growths, and they were like, whoa, we can't believe black people showed up. It's like, yeah, because people are clamoring to hear us, and we're clamoring to hear ourselves, and we're constantly told, yeah, most of y'all stories just about y'all getting beaten and not fighting back. And then somebody else change the legislation to save you. So it's just a very complex tapestry of how we let them know we got heroes, we got folks who do stuff, and it's not always about it. We stabbed all the white people and then thought we're back. We got
heroes, right? Some people, your own ideology is going to color who you think of as a hero.
Yeah.
I mentioned that some of the content that is disturbing. Some people want their ancestor to have been Nat Turner. Some people want their ancestor to have been Booker T. Washington.
Right.
If your ancestor was neither,
or Martin Luther King or Malcolm X,
then you might have a problem unless you just frame it the way it suits you and go with it. This is why the family discussions around the books I think are so important because you've got wide varieties within families, which is why it would be neat to actually watch that. That would be video. That would be some content that could be in a movie, etc. As well as doing reenactments. I love the idea of having an actor play Uncle Ben, the one who didn't go north with the rest, the one who stayed in Alabama to be a vice president for the United Coal Miners of America, that kind of thing. So yeah. So is that it for questions and everything? Am I closing, or are we we're not.
Just a quick comment about going back to where we started with the songs. There are 3 songs that my family has adopted because our family comes from, on my mother's side, coal miners. So we've adopted Tennessee Ernie Ford, 16 tons, Woman Debt, Woman Debt. We've also adopted Loretta Lynn's coal miner's daughter, because my mother was a coal miner's daughter. And then Country Road Take Me Home by John Denver, because they were from West Virginia.
Did
So-
you hear that?
Yes,
So we
yes.
got 3 good ones, just so you know that, yeah, in the home, there's a bunch of songs like that. The description of ancestors, again, where you describe them in terms of their work, their hair, skin, whatever. Coal miner's daughter is the quintessential. Absolutely, that's the song. So you could have called out that one, and I clicked on that, we would have done it. But yes, thank you again, and we're close. Rosalind is here to close us out now, and we will, the chat with like the emails and stuff, that will be available to other people. We'll deal with it later.
I put the stuff in the chat. If you want, if you hear in person, you want a copy of the chat, but email the DOGS 2017 email, and I'll try to save it. I can give it to you. Huh?
And a presentation.
What'd you say?
I said, and a copy of the presentation.
But
Yeah, we can mail them.
you know, I'm saying, you willing to do that?
Figure it out.
Okay. All right.
Delaware.
Okay. But it's DOGS2017@gmail.com. DEAAHGS2017@gmail.com. So if you email that, hopefully I'll remember to save the chat. And whatever Pamela wants to share. Okay. So we have 2 things going today. I still want to, I want to thank Pamela for that excellent presentation. I don't think you ever had anybody sing, and she has a beautiful singing voice. I want to give Theora, she's going to do some announcements, and then today is our